Hey gang, be there in just 1 second. Hi, my name's Dan. same name I had last broadcast. Dan Nelson, in case you care to know. Daily Art Adventure number 654. Outlining major shapes on this big square streetscape. I took the liberty of, without asking your permission or anything, I drew a rough orange, I don't know my colors either, green grid corresponding to each square is 1 foot on the canvas. I didn't draw any lines on the canvas. I feel like just that should be enough. Should be. Doing big, hang on here, I've got something's not quite right. Doing big, blocky outlines in a painting, or at the beginning of a painting, believe it or not, is not my favorite way to operate. For several years, while I was developing more or less the technique that you see me using today, I did one thing significantly different though, and that is that I literally did not do a drawing phase like you see me doing here. By the way, I'm sorry, I have to go around on the back of this. I have to get the easel out of the way. I learned on my last big painting that when you're painting this large, don't even, and plus, I'm not even positive that this canvas is the way it's sitting on my easel. I'm not convinced it's perfectly level or horizontal. So anyway, I learned don't trust my eyeball. See, I'm already off, significantly off. So I'm glad I checked this. And I'm gonna really cheat here. use a pencil line and then paint over that to make sure I've got a true plumb square vertical there. On smaller paintings, you can get by with smaller imperfections, but on a canvas this big, it's so easy to get off. Anyway, so why even risk it? I'm saying to myself and to you, just wish I had one of those gigantic carpenter's T-squares. That line was off also, so. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Well, that's a fine howdy do. So as you know, my easel is counterweighted. Whew. So when the weight comes off it, it goes flying up. Oh, there we go. It was leaning a little bit too far forward. All right, we should be okay. I don't think we punched any holes in the canvas. That's lucky. A live broadcasting, folks. And there it is. Film before a live studio audience. Not. So I was saying, I don't prefer to do what I'm doing here. And when I started this more or less messy technique of layers and layers of acrylics and then several layers of oil on top of that. And I used to say a lot, I still say it somewhat, but not quite as much. I prefer to let the image emerge slowly out of the mist. And again, you might have heard me use that term. That is my preferred method. But not too many years into that adventure, I discovered something's not right. That's why I do this, because something's not right. I discovered that I'd get 80% through a painting, and I would discover errors, mistakes in lines, perspective, and that was horrifying. Now, I still do that somewhat, but it caused a change in my modus operandi. And I started doing a very, kind of what you see me doing now, very left-brain engineer, mathematician, here I'm stopped talking because I'm stuck trying to fix a problem. Something's not quite lining up right here. Again, which is the very reason I do this. Anyway, so this is not, and when I paint small, I don't have to do quite this much. I certainly don't use a grid. Again, when you're painting this size, a grid just makes sense. You sort of save yourself a lot of grief is sort of what I'm saying to myself here. I would rather allow the image to emerge slowly. But as I said, that led to too many late in the process mistakes. So I adopted this much more mundane method of introducing a drawing phase. As I said a minute ago, a very boring, mechanical, left brain analytical, because that's just what it calls for, especially when you're doing. Now, if I were doing a nature scene with mountains and trees and rivers and brooks and things like that, maybe a little, stone bridge and a peasant's hut and a couple sheep on the hillside, certainly, no, I wouldn't have to do this, because none of that stuff is technical enough to demand that kind of precision. But straight buildings, certainly. Another thing I'll point out is that I'm using, learned this mistake, use colors to do the drawing that are contrasting to what's there. In other words, here, don't use, for instance, red or orange in this area. Down here, I'm going to switch to a different color because that's blue and I'm drawing with blue. Make sense? Mostly because if this color matches the underpainting, the abstract underpainting, the underpainting disappears. It's not that I can't see these accurate lines, but it makes the underpainting lose some of its punch. So for that reason, I use a contrasting color. Most people would think, oh, you're doing it so you can see it. Well, yeah, but no, more so that I can see the underpainting, actually. All right, stop there, move here. Another thing that I point out very often, so forgive me, I'm repeating myself very much. When it comes to taking your first whack, your first attack, your first attempt at drawing an image, don't succumb to the paralysis of analysis, if I can use a cute phrase. Don't sit around too long analyzing, measuring, thinking, and overthinking. Slap something down fairly quickly and expect that you're going to move it and adjust it in subsequent stages, phases, layers. Now, of course, that only works if you're painting in subsequent layers, but most people are painting somewhat in process, if you will. Okay, just short of 3 feet over. That's right, here's 3 feet. I'm thinking, yeah, about right there. Okay, let me make a mark before I lose my spot. I'm measuring here where I think the edge of this building is. I think I told you that I took my, excuse me, I have to go back there and raise up that part of myself. I think I told you I took my last painting, the one that I just finished a couple days ago, the companion to this, the 6x6 foot streetscape. I took it to my painters forum group on Tuesday night, and because I really, really wanted their honest feedback, and generally, no, not generally, but there's a little about that, but generally speaking, they liked what was happening, so that was encouraging. have a lot of respect for the opinions of several people in that group. And of course, I respect the opinions of non-artists as well. If you're an artist, like me, you have to remember, this is sometimes a challenge for us. Hang on, sorry. We are painting for non-artists. We're not painting for artists. That's easy to forget that sometimes. Problems here with my running down when they should not be running down. Forgive me just a moment. Being plugged in. All right. Good. So that was just under a foot from the top. Maybe it's been along, but I just heard it just then, so let me fix that. Okay. About 5 inches. About 4 inches. These are all guesses. So, I'm afraid this is actually quite boring. If I had something really clever to say, I would say it. Fresh out of clever, folks. So I might keep this broadcast rather short. I don't need to torment you beyond what is necessary. Some torment is necessary, and you're getting it. I just don't want to do any unnecessary torment. Please don't torment the YouTubers. Yeah, maybe 6.5 inches. I better change color now. I'm going to go to purple since I'm running into blue background abstract stuff. I mentioned earlier today, drawing vertical straight lines, these long brushes are a distinct help. But even so, as you can see, I'm still using rulers to T-squares in addition to the long-handled brushes. Some of you are saying, wait a minute, because some of you have heard my straight line speech in which I say, hang on, I need to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. My straight line speech is 1, hang on, 2, 3, 4, close enough. My straight line speech is this: human beings cannot draw straight lines. So here I am sort of, no, my lines are not straight. That's not the part I'm violating. Let me finish. Human beings cannot draw. This is a subset, a corollary to my the essence of good painting or good drawing is making interesting marks. This is a corollary to that principle or that reality. And it sure looks right at the moment like I'm not practicing what I preach. But I'll explain why really I am, sort of. Okay, human beings cannot draw straight lines. Every time I say that, I think probably somewhere in the world, every year probably, there is an international straight line drawing competition where geeky, professorial type eggheads gather from all around the world and walk up to a whiteboard, chalkboard, something, and draw. There is such a thing for circle drawing, by the way. That's what makes me think there may be. So I'm always thinking somebody somewhere is making a liar out of me. But anyway, be that as may, the exception would prove the rule. Human beings cannot draw straight lines. And basically the reason you and I can't draw straight lines is because we are alive. That's good news. And as long as we're alive, our heart is beating. As long as our heart's beating, we have a pulse, which is, of course, bulges of paint, if you will, going through our veins and our muscles. And those waves of pressure, bulges of paint going through our muscles, mean that our muscles cannot move perfectly smoothly. Now, musicians like violin players, again, are making a liar of me. I'll just say this, that's why they're, compared to how many people play at violin, that's why there's so few that are good, because it's so doggone hard to make your muscles move smoothly. Anyway, I'm getting too deep. Let me stop and say, you can't draw a straight line because you're alive and you have a pulse. And I usually joke and say the day will come when you will, in fact, flatline. Joke. Hospital. Boop. You'll draw a flat line forever. Straight line forever. Until then, the good news is you can't draw a straight line. So, the only kind of line you can draw is crooked one. But you can either draw, you'd have an option. You do have options before you. You can either draw attractive, interesting straight lines or ugly. Or I like to say ugly. That means really ugly. You can draw attractive straight lines or ugly straight lines. And a little curveball here. The recipe for drawing, it's hard to describe how to draw attractive straight lines. I usually take a few minutes to demonstrate. I'm not going to do that right now. But it's easy to describe how to draw ugly straight lines. And the answer is by trying to draw straight ones. Okay? Are you with me? You can't draw a straight line. The only kind you can draw is crooked. You can draw beautiful or ugly crooked lines. Here's how you draw ugly ones. The answer is by trying to draw straight ones. Because what will happen is it won't be straight because you're a human being who's alive. And the effect will be unpleasant. It will appear to viewers as if you, in fact, yes, did try to draw a straight line and failed. And that failure will cause untold anguish. Tad melodramatic here. In the heart. We're getting really deep now. In the heart of your viewers. When a person looks at your painting, they see a line, and intuitively, they don't verbalize all this. No. It's our job as artists to know what's going on in the brain of the viewer. It's not their job to follow my rules and do what I say, so to speak. No, but they will look at your painting, and the straight line is in question right now. And it will look to them as though you tried to draw a straight line. And it will also look to them like you failed, because you did fail, because you're a human being. Are you with me? So the way to draw an attractive straight line, again, without me demonstrating it, is to intentionally draw crooked lines that give the impression of straight lines. And I can tell you from years of experience that it works. When I paint cityscapes more than anything else, like this, and people come up very late in the painting process. And one of the most common comments I'll get is like, wow, did you draw that freehand? In other words, they're impressed with the straight lines in my painting, which is really hilarious, because you and I both know there are no straight lines in my paintings. And not only they're not straight, they're intentionally not straight. I make them crooked on purpose, sort of like I'm doing right now. Not there. Yeah, that's a little bit of an example. Okay, those little short dashes. Now, one of you who's really sharp will say, well, it sure looks to me like a little while ago you were sure working really hard at drawing straight lines. And indeed I was. Indeed I was. And I hope this doesn't sound like just a justification of, what's the word? That's not the word I'm looking for. Cop out. Anyway. But the reason I can draw straight lines right now is that these are essentially guidelines for future lines that will be drawn. When the painting is all done, these really ugly straight lines will not be ugly and straight anymore. They'll be plenty messed up by lots of crooked lines on top of them. Attractive, good-looking crooked lines will be on. That's the best way to say it. I'm going to put interesting crooked lines on top of these bad, boring, unstraight straight lines. All right, boy, that was just thrilling, wasn't it? Is anybody still here? You're all asleep. Two feet up from the bottom, right there. Just having a little bit of a grid on the photograph, as you can see, really does help significantly. It doesn't have to be a full-on grid, so to speak. Just a real simple one, and it's even kind of messy and so on. Discovered that it really does help. All right, I am going to end this broadcast, I think, because I'm tired. During the last break, here's my excuse. I went out and got a really good workout in the pool. Not a swimming workout, it's a round, cheap pool. But I keep dumbbells out there and I do my upper body workout. I didn't need to tell you that. You could tell just by looking that I work out a lot. And then he dies of a coughing fit on the spot. The last words out of his mouth were a shameless lie. Anyway. Sure, let me have fun with you. Anyway, I did work out and evidently worked out pretty hard because I tired myself out. And we'll end here with the dome of the Capitol building. I don't think it's quite that large. I think it's slightly smaller. But you know what? I'm going to cheat. I'm going to make it slightly larger than it actually is. For obvious reasons. It's an iconic shape. So just making it a tiny bit bigger. Nobody will be able to tell. I don't think. Yep, and that's a good place to quit. The grandchildren just got home. Yep, here they are. So I'll go and play with them, practice my trumpet. They love to They love for me to practice my trumpet. Get this, because because they know. Hey, Lake.
I hear practicing.
Yeah, because when I practice trumpet, I watch TV, YouTube, and they like to watch TV with me, so they always want me to practice my trumpet. All right, any chats over here? Oh, my monitor's not set up at all. Let's see what I can do here. Any chats? Oh, bunch. My goodness. Sorry, I was missing all those. Thank you, y'all. Susan, still here. Uncle 60. A couple of you people sleep by your computers. Just saying, oh, I hope Dan Nelson will start. I hope Dan Nelson will start broadcasting. That's you dreaming. Uncle 60, I'm going to send you a long drywall 54. Thank you. Don't. I would love it. Don't send it. Thank you. This canvas doesn't look that thick. Yeah, 1.5 inches. Our long brushes, number 8 flats, are filberts. They're filberts mostly. Yeah, the best ones are out of the UK. Is it Rose? You found them at Rose? Well, I'm sorry, Horatio. The answer is I don't know. Jerry's Artorama used to sell them, and they discontinued in the store. I wasn't sure whether they discontinued on catalog or not, but if you looked and didn't find them, Rosemary, yeah, that's out of the UK. They sell long brushes. I have one, it's not here, it must be inside. And they're actually better quality than these, but that's all I know. And they're mostly filberts. Susan, I was just wondering, how does Dan keep so buff? Yeah, that's what you're all wondering. Now you know. AJ Fez 12. It starts as a very abstract piece and then becomes really realistic, and I love it. Thank you. That is exactly correct. And the challenge here for me is to try to allow much of the underpainting to show through on the final painting. And again, you can look at my last painting. I posted it, by the way, on YouTube community. Go to my channel, scroll along the top community, click on that, and you'll see a nice image of all of my recent work. Don Farina, the artist, talk. I wish. You know, speaking of which, did you guys know Frank Gavino was a really world-class art teacher? And he was a bodybuilder. He was a real bodybuilder. I don't know, that you just made me think of that. Anyway, he passed away several years ago, but he was quite the guy. Look him up. I just said his name. What was it? Oh, it'll come back to me. Yes, Marco Petroni, it is a metropolis. And it's only 6:30 there, and it's 9:35 here. Thanks, guys. I am worn out. It's hot out here, even though I have fans going. And I look forward to visiting with you all tomorrow. Right now, I'm going to go in and visit with my precious little munchkins here. Are you guys munchkins?
Yes.
Here, come over here and say hi.
Hi.
Here, come over here. And there's the camera. Wave. This is Lakey Poo, and Tolly Girl. Aren't they precious? They're very precious. Okay, bye.